Please don't forget subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of new daily videos.
I was Liam Sterling, a scholarship kid at the Accademia del Disegno in Milan, living my dream of studying graphic design. Every brushstroke, every concept, every late night in the studio was a stepping stone towards a future I'd fought hard for. My scholarship wasn't just money. It was my ticket, my lifeline, and my pride. Then there was Serena Caldwell and her little clique of entitled snobs, Brendan Thorne and Javier Vega. They were from wealthy families, enrolled solely on their parents' dime, and they never missed an opportunity to remind me of my inferior status. They'd sneer during critiques, make snide remarks about my pedestrian ideas, and generally exude an aura of superiority that grated on everyone, but especially on me, the one who actually needed this education. I endured it. I focused on my work, but they escalated. First, it was just whispered insults and dismissive glares. Then they started accidentally bumping into my easels, smudging my preliminary sketches. The final straw came with my capstone conceptual art project. It was a deeply personal piece, a culmination of months of research and artistic exploration, displayed on a large presentation board in the communal studio space for a crucial review. I left it overnight, meticulously arranged for the morning critique. When I walked in the next day, my heart sank. The board was defaced. Crude, mocking drawings covered my intricate designs, and insulting phrases like charity case art and zero talent were scrawled across my artist's statement in permanent marker. They'd even poured a dark, sticky substance over a delicate mixed media section, ruining weeks of work. I felt a cold rage settle deep in my bones. This wasn't just an insult, it was an attack on my future. My scholarship, my entire career, hinged on this project. I immediately reported it to Professor Alastair Vance, the head of my department, and Dr. Rossi, the Dean of Student Affairs. They were sympathetic, but their hands were tied. "Liam," Dr. Rossi said, her voice gentle, "we believe you, but without concrete proof, it's their word against yours. We can't take disciplinary action based on suspicion alone." That was all the confirmation I needed. They knew who it was, but I had to prove it. My plan began that afternoon. I went online and ordered a tiny, high-resolution security camera disguised as a USB charging block. It had excellent low-light capabilities and internal storage. The damaged project board was beyond salvage, so I painstakingly created a new, blank board, carefully positioning it in the exact same spot in the studio, making it look like I was attempting to restart from scratch. I then set up the camera, plugged into a wall socket near my workspace, angled perfectly to capture the project board and anyone approaching it. That evening, I made a very public, defeated exit from the studio, sighing loudly and telling a few classmates, within earshot of Serena's clique, that I was too demoralized to continue. I then left the building, made a deliberate detour to ensure they saw me heading towards the tram stop, and returned discreetly an hour later, hiding in a stairwell just outside the studio. My heart pounded in my chest as I waited. After about 40 minutes, I heard hushed voices. Serena, Brendan, and Javier. They were laughing. I heard Serena's distinct voice say, "Look at the little pauper trying again, so pathetic." Then the telltale squeak of permanent markers. They spent a good 10 minutes reveling in their vandalism, not just defacing the new blank board with even more vicious insults, but also tearing up some of my scattered preliminary sketches. The camera, silently recording, captured it all, the faces, the acts, the derogatory comments, even Serena declaring, "Let's make sure this peasant never shows his face here again." I retrieved the camera and walked out of the studio with a grim satisfaction. The next morning, I arrived at Dr. Rossi's office with the USB stick. Her initial, weary sigh turned into shocked silence as the video played out on her monitor. Professor Vance, who joined us, went from disbelief to absolute fury. The evidence was irrefutable, time-stamped, crystal clear, showing Serena, Brendan, and Javier systematically destroying my property and verbally abusing me. An emergency disciplinary board was convened. Serena, Brendan, and Javier were summoned. They tried to deny it, then to minimize it as a prank gone wrong, but the video left no room for doubt. The Academy, which prided itself on fostering talent and respect, came down on them like a ton of bricks. The verdict was swift and decisive, immediate expulsion for all three. They lost their entire year's worth of exorbitant tuition, all their accumulated credits, and any hope of transferring to another reputable design academy, as their disciplinary records would follow them. But it didn't end there. The Accademia del Disegno also informed the Italian immigration authorities that Serena, Brendan, and Javier's student visas were being revoked due to gross academic misconduct. Their enrollment was terminated, meaning their legal right to reside in Italy was nullified. They were given a strict deadline to leave the country. Any grand plans they had for post-graduation internships, or even just leisurely travel around Italy, were instantly dissolved. I watched from a distance as Serena, her face streaked with tears and contorted in a furious snarl, was escorted out of the building with her equally enraged parents, who had flown in from Paris. Their demands and threats fell on deaf ears. The academy stood firm. My project was granted an extension, and I went on to not only complete it, but to receive the highest marks in my cohort. They learned the hard way that entitlement doesn't trump justice. Watching them lose everything they took for granted, all because they chose to target a scholarship student, was the sweetest vindication I could have ever asked for.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to like it. And please do subscribe to support the channel.